Okay, hi, and welcome to our project, which we've kind of titled WAC as it applies to a writing studio. Um, I'm Grace, and this course, English 814, has been centered around writing across the curriculum. Part of that discussion has been how writing across the curriculum involves writing centers. And as we're all consultants in the Noel Studio for Academic Creativity, we really wanted to relate this course and our project to our writing center. So initially, our goals were kind of to foster discourse about the Noel Studio, to analyze elements of the Noel Studio, and to promote the center in an audience-centered way. What have we actually accomplished? What products did we actually make? We've done extensive research, and I do mean extensive. We've scripted several videos. We've outlined podcasts, which unfortunately, of the 7 that we outlined, we were only able to film 3. We've edited several videos, and we've collaborated with the Noel Studio coordinator, which, if you don't know, that's Dr. Clint Stivers. And we created a YouTube channel to portray our content, which unfortunately probably won't be up and running for a while, but it does exist.
Yeah, so like Grace said, we've created promotional materials for the Noel Studio in hopes of distributing them to increase knowledge of our services and hopefully maximize our potential. We went with 2 versions. We had a video geared towards students and another video geared towards faculty. The Noel Studio already has existing videos, but to be quite honest, they're pretty outdated and they're not really used, at least not to my knowledge. Um, so we really just wanted to update the materials so that students and faculty will both have a stronger awareness of what we can do, the services that we offer, and to hopefully encourage them to take advantage. The student video focuses mostly on front-facing services like just general what happens in consultations, rooms. It shows them how to book everything. Pretty straightforward. The faculty video focuses on different aspects of the studio, like workshops, which is where we primarily collaborate with faculty the most. And we also made a flyer which synthesizes all of this information into one nice streamlined place. It shows students where to book rooms or how to book rooms, scheduling consultations. It's got like our hours of operation on it. It's got like our mission, value, vision statement. And it has a QR code on the back. I think we've only got the front on the presentation, but on the back of it, there's a QR code that takes students directly to the site. And as far as what we've discovered in doing this, we realized that the Noel Studio orientation workshop that usually gives students a tour of the space and tells them about all of the things that we do. It doesn't necessarily maximize efficiency when introducing students to the Noel Studio, which is why we hope to use these videos instead. Students need the most necessary information that should be professional but also digestible. So we wanted to make sure that we got the necessary information out there, but we also wanted it to be in a format that students would pay attention to and would be able to digest and get all the information as quickly as possible. And then finally, faculty likely prefer information regarding Noel Studio pedagogy and how they can implement visits. So that's really just what I've talked about already regarding workshops, like how they can sign up for workshops, how the space is designed to foster collaboration, and what all we can offer to help them with their classes.
So, digging a little deeper into the promotional videos, we wanted to film the space to understand the space. So, why was the studio set up this way? What went into setting up the studio? We really played on the idea of space. The Noel Studio for Academic Creativity is a space designed for collaboration and communication, be it verbal or nonverbal. We wanted to create a video explaining how vast and opportunistic the studio is because no one else is discussing it. So many students don't know that the studio exists, and even if they do, they don't know that they can utilize it. So we wanted to tell them. I had no idea what the Noel Studio was until I was required to go there for a consultation, and even then, I didn't know you could schedule breakout or presentation rooms or even use the monitors until I started working here. We also wanted faculty to know how the space can be used because many of them, across all disciplines, also lack the knowledge on what the studio offers as a space to students. So, what spaces does the studio foster? The Noel studio spans 10,000 square feet, and it is intricately designed to foster creativity, critical thinking, research, and communication among students. The greenhouse has Macs and PCs for student convenience, as well as a printer. It features a media wall that allows students to connect their devices to touchscreen monitors. And it also offers alternative seating options so that students have a comfortable, engaging space to do their work. The invention space has a wall of whiteboards and a desk of manipulatives for creativity. The presentation suite for rehearsing and recording presentations contains whiteboards and monitors, as well as the breakout rooms, which are larger than presentation rooms so that it's more suitable for group collaboration. Writing is communication, and the Noel Studio space is designed to foster communication. It offers a safe, dynamic space for students to utilize as they work through the writing process.
Absolutely. And because we only have those tours typically for things called R classes or RZ classes, students who are in a mainstream regular, English class might not get the opportunity to come visit the studio or see it or have that orientation workshop. So it really works out that we could distribute this to faculty, to professors, and they could choose whether or not they wanted to show it in their classes in order to allow students to understand what the studio really is. Additionally, we created these podcasts that were focused around like how does the Noel Studio work? What services does it offer? How does it benefit students? And how does it fall short? So technically, the Noel Studio isn't considered a writing center based off of the writing across the curriculum criteria, but it is a really good example of pieces of that. So we wanted to show that through our work. And we didn't get to do every single thing, but of the 3 podcasts that we created, we got to talk about how it is a writing center, how it does involve WAC. We got to talk about the problems that we see with faculty and like misconceptions about what a writing center is, kind of like things like believing that it's only for English majors or believing that you only have to come here if you're a bad writer, stuff like that. And then we had a final one that discussed space that we thought would be a great one to use for like training videos here in the studio, because we discussed how, sitting next to a student versus sitting across from a student it changes the whole dynamic in a consultation, and it changes how a student will interact with you. So kind of what did we discover from that? A vast majority of students utilize the studio services at least once during their time at EKU. That might be from if they're in an R class at the beginning of the semester, if they are in one of our English 101R, 102R classes. It might be if they have a communications class where their professor is requiring them to come in here and talk to us about a speech. There's FSE classes that make you come in here. There's several different reasons why a student might come into the center, might come into the studio. But that doesn't mean that we're getting every single student. And that's what we want. We want to get every single student. We want every single student to have the opportunity to come here and to feel comfortable and to understand that the studio is a place for them, even if they think it's not. So, kind of the possible problems that we ran into, the majority of students, again, are from English and communication disciplines. So, biology students, science students, students from the history department, anywhere else might not realize that the studio is a place that can help them as well. That is that misconception that we just talked about, thinking that the studio is only for English majors or only for people who are doing a specific kind of writing. We need better advertisement, like Angel commented on. A lot of our current stuff is outdated, and that's partially due to the fact that everything's being updated. And so as everything is being updated on the websites, they're grabbing things from 2015, 2016 that haven't been used in several years, things like that. And we wanted, as consultants and as people who really value the studio, we wanted to make sure that it was being represented in an accurate way. The STEM Center also offers writing services, but they're more geared towards the content than they are the way that the content is being like presented. And that's what the studio really focuses on. Everyone thinks it's, they teach you about grammar, or they teach you about mechanics of things, but in reality we teach you a lot about how to write and how to get yourself across in a clear, concise way. And then professional development meetings are not effective for returning consultants. Like, that was one of our trainings and one of our podcasts that we didn't end up getting to, which really sucked because we were all really excited about that one. But it was going to gear towards like, currently the current model of trainings for the studio are great for incoming consultants. It works out really well for them. But for those of us who have been here for 2 and soon to be 3 years, well, that's rough. You know, it's a lot of repetitive stuff for us, and we wanted to come up with things like these videos, like these podcasts, that would update those trainings and make it more conscious for those of us who are older and have been here for a while.
Yeah, so just to kind of build off of what Grace just said, there were a couple things that we wish we could have done differently. Obviously, we didn't get to do the podcast that we wanted, at least not all of them. But some of the things that we ran into and just some things to consider for the future. Right now, the Noel Studio is in the middle of rebranding. So our materials excluded logos, which really isn't ideal. If you look at the flyer, actually, in the um, bottom left-hand corner, we've got a placeholder for the logo just because we don't want to use an old logo that's about to be re-updated. So that's something that we'll have to think about for the future if this were to be used again. Um, Another thing that we ran into was trouble with the equipment, which was kind of hectic, but we think the project could really benefit from professional level camera equipment just to increase the quality. I think the work itself is actually really good, and if the camera quality isn't great, then we really don't want that to undermine that. And then finally, there's no guarantee that these would be distributed by faculty, which is kind of a thing. Like we're not entirely sure that this would make its way to students. There's no way of guaranteeing that it would. However, our website could be a great place to host them. And even if it isn't made, even if these materials aren't distributed to students across the whole campus or anything, that the website would still be a good place to host these videos. That way it's in a place that's relevant and all the information that they need to sign up for a consultation would be right there anyway.
So additionally, just something that we were kind of thinking of behind the scenes is that this would be an evergreen document. This is a document that can change. It can be taken apart and re-spliced together. It can be moved. Pieces can be used in one place and not in another. And it's in order to really foster some connection and some communication that can be used in almost any situation for the studio. And again, that's got its own problems. Nothing is ever perfect. But the way that we've set it up and the way that we've created it is we've made everything totally separate. So different things can be sliced together. And like Angel commented on, we didn't have great camera quality. So instead of having our voiceovers attached to our cameras, we had them separate so that new videos can be made and the same voiceovers can be used. Things like that. We really wanted it to be an evergreen document. We really wanted it to be something that could be usable in the event that it is.
Okay, so I think we've covered everything we've needed to for our project and for our poster. Thank you for taking the time to listen. And yeah, that was our project.